I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have all enjoyed your meal, and now we come to the most important, significant part of the evening, which of course is the awards to our wonderful recipients. Before we move on to that, very briefly, we're going to have a few words from some very honoured and important people that we have with us this evening, and I'm going to call on first our very own 1956, you say it fast, it sounds like yesterday, Olympic gold medal winner, and indeed a great friend to the Limerick Sports Advisory Body, and the late Jerry Burke, to say a few words of welcome. Would you please put your hands together for Ronnie Delaney?
Thank you, Rita. Very distinguished guests, recipients of the awards, your families, your friends. It's my pleasure to be here tonight because I believe in volunteerism in sport. I'm committed to it. I acknowledge the initiative of Jerry Burke and Mary Costello, and I think it was then the Sport for All committee in starting these awards many, many years ago. So I've had the pleasure of coming here many years, and I congratulate you on making it to 25 years. I think it's great. And I'm absolutely delighted to see that your main sponsor tonight is the Sports Partnership. I think this is really great. I've spoken to the chairman into his ear. I said, you support this, it's worthwhile. It really is worthwhile. Because not alone does an award like this acknowledge the input of the person, and through him, his friends and his associates within his club, because most awards are shared. It isn't an individual achievement, it's a group achievement, and everyone enjoys it, your family enjoy it, and so forth. And the other thing about it is that it's a great motivational thing, because it means that you go back again. It's an incentive to others. I must try and see you quietly, if I can get one of those awards. So that's the serious few words, and if I may, and I genuinely mean that, I think volunteerism in sport should be saluted, and I'm going to ask you to join with me in applauding our distinguished winners tonight, and if we might also applaud all of those who are nominated, because you're a winner if you're even nominated, because you're doing the same work, and it's only the degree of difference between you. But maybe in the moments I have, an anecdote never goes awry, and a great sponsor of these awards over the years was ACC Bank, and I'm delighted to see John McCluskey and his wife Kathleen here again tonight. They nearly have come to as many as I have, and John is now in the exalted position, and all the Blazers here tonight will recognise this. He's been made captain of Ellen Park Golf Club in Dublin. Now that's some recognition, and that is some achievement. And John, if I may tell you a little anecdote about my knowledge of Ellen Park. I lived in Dublin 4, where Ellen Park is located. I had a girlfriend who lived in the same area, and she took me to golf at the height of my career as a runner. Now, as a runner, I was a very poor golfer, or maybe as a golfer, I was an excellent runner. So I'm out on the course. The course in those days, there were never that many people, and unfortunately it was Ladies' Day. And I'm spraying the balls here, and I'm spraying the balls there, and I'm hitting them so often onto other people's fairways. In embarrassment, I run onto a fairway, and I knew I was in serious trouble. These two ladies, out for a lovely afternoon's golf, they see this skinny guy running out on the fairway, grabbing his ball and then running back. So I go into the clubhouse afterwards, and these two ladies finish before I do, and when they go in, they're giving out hell about this fellow running onto the fairway. So they turn to the lady behind the bar. You know, a disgraceful thing happened out on the course. This skinny, tanned fella ran out and grabbed his... Oh, but that's Ronnie Delaney, the Olympic champion. I don't give a damn who he is. He shouldn't be doing that. So, John, I hope you get some mileage out of that story. I've had many honours throughout the the last year in particular, because it was the 50th year of my Olympic celebrations. And in a funny way, if you want to get all these awards, you've just got to live on, you know. You won't get them if you're too young. But I enjoyed everything. The Gaelic Athletic Association honoured me with an All-Ireland medal, and it was bigger than the ordinary All-Ireland medal. And so against my peers like Tony Hanaho and Colm O'Rourke, I waved my All-Ireland medal, and I remind that I never kicked a ball in Croke Park, I never pucked a slitter, but I have an All-Ireland medal, which I'm very proud of. And it is a great joy. But secretly, I did compete in Croke Park. I was 12 years of age. I went to O'Connell schools, and we had our annual sports in Croke Park. Can you believe that? We're near neighbours, and we could go in and had our sports in Croke Park. So history records that I won the wheelbarrow race. I was the 12 years of age, I was the wheelbarrow, and the guy who carried me was a guy called Chris Baxter. So that's my claim to fame. I can use it occasionally now, because when I'm at an All-Ireland or a semi-final or something, I can always talk about the quality of the turf and the environment. So I have a lot of fun. But sport is great. Sport is full of all these wonderful moments. And tonight is a night of fellowship as well. But to be slightly serious for 1 second, one job I got, and I say job in the sense that it was something I wanted to do and I wanted to do well. The government recognised the value of volunteerism in sport, and they came up with an award scheme to recognise and award the people who'd given all this dedication to the good of sport and the good of community. And they asked me, would I be chairman? And I had no difficulty accepting it. When I say they asked me, the minister asked me. I had no difficulty accepting me because of my belief in volunteerism and what it does and the good it does. And it was a fascinating experience. And in the process, I learned some extraordinary facts. There are 500,000 volunteers attached to sport. And the people I was working with gave me another telling statistic. And that is that in any single week, there's almost 1 million hours of voluntary effort given to furthering sport, furthering community, encouraging young people. So this was a very special experience for me, and our recipients here tonight exemplify that award. It is a national award, it's the whole country. This is Limerick's award, but the qualities that are required to win the awards are the exact same. But forget the qualities. It's what you, the volunteers, do that is the real input into Irish society. I commend you, I congratulate you, and I look forward to shaking your hands when you come up here later tonight. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much to Ronnie Delaney. As always, it is our pleasure and privilege to have him here with us. And now we're coming on to have a very few words from, not that few, John, but a few words from another of our honoured guests this evening. We were very pleased, as I said earlier, I'm wearing two hats. I'm delighted as chair of the Awards to Sports Committee to be here, but also I'm vice chair of Limerick City Sports Partnership, and I am absolutely delighted that they have been the main sponsors for our event this evening. And with that, I will hand you over now to the chairman. And he's a very fair chairman in a very difficult situation at times. Our own wonderful John McElhinney. Please put your hands together for the chairman of Limerick City Sports Partnership.
Oh, sorry, John.
How you doing, folks? Are you well? Ronnie, you're a hard act to follow. Where do you go with words that Ronnie has given there? I mean, he's got it in one. The sentiment, volunteerism, what you put into your sport. One of the major, I suppose, drivers for the sports partnership is about participation, and it's about opportunity. And when you consider, as Ronnie said, about 500,000, that's a lot of participation and it's a lot of opportunity. So I'd like to take the opportunity, and I'm very privileged to have a chance to speak to you as a group and to recognise what you contribute to sport and what you give each and every Saturday morning or whatever it is in terms of that commitment, that time and that effort. And I dare say that passion, because you wouldn't be doing it unless you believed in what you were doing, and I think that should be recognised, and I think a night like tonight certainly does that. So can I also thank the organising committee, because again, things don't happen without people, and people make things happen. So as Ronnie said, 25 years is a huge achievement. So can I say well done to the committee, and I think they deserve a round of applause for their work. As Rita said, I'm representing the Sports Partnership. I'd like to also recognise Carol and Siobhan and Elaine. They're here tonight. They're also representing the Sports Partnership. I'm going to embarrass Elaine a little bit, because Ronnie been around a while. He presented her, I believe, with a medal at 12 years of age. So well done, Ronnie. Well done, Elaine. Okay, that's really it, I suppose, for myself, just to applaud the recipients and the event. If you want to know a bit more about the Sports Partnership, you have the directory and the newsletter, and I suppose that just gives a measure of what we're about and what we do. So every success to the event tonight and every other year that follows. So thank you very much, folks. Yeah, and good night.
Thank you, John. And can I just say, speaking of the directory, I am thinking of suing the Sports Partnership. I have never seen such an ugly photograph of myself. I shall talk to them later about that. Anyway, besides John and Kathleen McCluskey, who we're delighted to have with us this evening, who've always sponsored us, we are absolutely delighted that we have always had the strongest support from Limerick City VEC. And we are delighted that Ms Deirdre Frawley, who's CEO of Limerick City VEC, could be with us this evening and is going to say a few words. So please put your hands together for Ms Deirdre Frawley.
Ladies and gentlemen, guests, I'm just delighted to be here with you this evening and to welcome you all to the 25th Sports Awards on behalf of City of Limerick VEC. I'm really pleased that it is the 25th Sports Awards, because I do remember back in 1983 when I had just come to Limerick, noting that this Sports Award had begun. It was very small in those days, but it had a powerful patron in Jerry Burke, who was the chairman. And under Jerry's leadership, and ably supported by Mary Costello in all those years, and the Sports Advisory Committee, representative of all of the different sports in the city, they grew that that's the Sports Awards from a very small event to the wonderful and much prized event that it is today. I would say that one of the main reasons why it is so popular and such a key event in the sporting calendar in Limerick is because it honours and supports the volunteers. Ronnie has spoken so much about the volunteers, and I think that is one of the reasons why it has grown from strength to strength, and I have no doubt that it will grow, it will continue to grow. And in the time when more and more sporting activity is becoming more and more professional, I think the role of the volunteer is becoming more and more important, and I do believe that the volunteers must be nurtured, must be valued, and must be honoured. And tonight is one of those nights in which they are honoured. And Limerick City VEC, as the largest educational provider in Limerick City, in all of our schools, programmes and whatever, we have always supported and promoted sport as part of life. And we're very happy and pleased with the new St. Nesson's Community College that has absolutely state-of-the-art sporting facilities, both indoor and out of door, and the new sports football pitches are being completed. But I hope people in Limerick City will have an opportunity to visit it, to participate in sporting activities there, and it will be a very important sporting centre for the people on the north side of Limerick City particularly. I would like to say that I was really pleased to see in the Regeneration Agency reports that they had particularly highlighted sport as a vehicle for regeneration, for growth, for the development of people, for change, because we all know how much participation in sport is a vehicle for people growing, for communities growing, for families growing, for people finding and using those talents which they have. And I really celebrate that. But tonight I would just like to congratulate all the recipients. You have been specially selected by your peers for an award tonight. Congratulations. And I'm really pleased to see that the guests which have come here year after year are here on the 25th award. Anne Burke, the wife of Jerry, I'm glad has participated in the last number of years with us, and we're very glad that she's here. And John and Kathleen McCluskey, long-time supporters of the award ceremony, delighted that you're here for the 25th. And Ronnie, we're really indebted that you are here. And you were a lifelong friend of Jerry Burke as well. And we really missed you last year, Ronnie, so we're really glad that you're back here this year.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of Limerick City VEC, who is just, a small supporter in monetary terms of the Sports Awards, I'd like to say a special thanks to the Limerick Services Sports Award Committee. You have done wonderful work. And again, I know it is all a voluntary effort, but the professionalism, the enthusiasm and the commitment which you have put into keeping this award top of the agenda and making it a very successful occasion each year, thank you very much. And can I wish you all a very happy evening.
Thank you very much, Deirdre. Thank you very much, Deirdre Frawley. Now we get to our wonderful recipients. What I will be doing is I'll be calling the award winner and the person who's going to read the citation. And our citation readers are all made up of representatives of our awards committee. I will call the first person. I will ask you to come up here. The citation will be read, and then the award will be presented by Ronnie Delaney. So may I call on a gentleman who's sitting very close, Jim Carroll. Jim is going to receive the award for swimming, and his citation will be read by Captain Michael Egan.
Madam Chairperson, Guest of Honour, Ronnie Delaney, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to Jim Carroll, for those who might not know him. It's an honour and a pleasure because I know Jim a long time. We are old friends. Jim and I joined the army together 35 years ago or so, right? I care to admit to. And since then, I must say that we have been friends, but I've always admired and respected him. I would never doubt but he was going to show up at a function like this. Just to give you a brief history of Jim, he was born in Cork. They then moved him to Dublin, and they reared him in Dublin. Now, you'll hear of hard luck stories, but I mean, they're two hard obstacles to have to overcome in life. But he's been resurrected, he's come around. He married into a very good Limerick family, right, the McCanns. And Gulla, who's here tonight, obviously did a very good job straightening him out. So, Gulla's father would be well known to the army as well. He was a medical officer in the barracks, in Sarsfield Barracks. Most of us would have known him. So he came pretty close to marrying the boss's daughter, really. I jest, of course. Jim is a gentleman to his fingertips, and if those of you who know him will know that. I've never seen him in bad humour. I've racked my brains in the 35 years that I know him to think of something bad to say about him, and I can't really. He even sings well. Mind you, I haven't heard him give a rendition of the Banks in a good while, and I think he has forgotten the words anyway, so probably better off. Jim is here tonight because of his work for the St. Paul's Swimming Club. And St. Paul's Swimming Club is one of the nursery clubs in the city here that trains youngsters to go on to the more competitive clubs in some cases and get them involved in water sport. I have long been a believer. I joined the army myself not knowing how to swim. I had to learn in a hurry. It was swim or drown, basically. But I would have to say I have always had the height of respect for swimming as a pursuit. You would have to admit, when you think about it, that shortly after the medical profession and fire brigades, swimming probably saves more lives than any other activity in the country. And people rarely think of it that way, but there are an awful lot of people walking around today who would have drowned, or if they could not swim themselves, or somebody had not helped them to swim. So Jim, as soon as he came to Limerick about 14 years ago, Jim, about that, he got involved. They used to tell me in the army a long time ago, never volunteer, but Jim obviously wasn't there that day, right? And he does, and he gets involved. And it's his easy manner, his gentle way, and especially for youngsters, and I'm sure his own children will probably have to agree, he brings people on. I've never known him to put anybody at ill at ease. He would help all, irrespective of their standard. You didn't have to be a champion or even have that possible tag attached to you. He got you one step further on the list, and that is to his great credit. Now, I'm limited to 2 minutes, unfortunately. Mary keeps on looking around and abusing me. So I didn't read out what's on the paper. You'll get the chance to read it yourself, but I'll just put a few brief things in that you should know. Within the club, Jim has been involved as a committee member, general organiser, teacher, coach, tour director and chaperone. I can't think of any more jobs that you could probably do in the swimming line. I look down at the audience here, Michael Mulcair, who faces me here. I could barely swim until I badly injured my knee at one stage, and Michael put me through my paces a few years back, above and beyond more. And if I am a halfway decent swimmer, it's probably down to Michael. No doubt Jim fulfills the same function. So Jim, probably your first night at these awards, any of you who've been here before will know there are heroes in sport, those who achieve, those who go out there, get medals, come back having beaten the world, right? That is not why we honour people here. We honour the heroes who get them there, whose shoulders they climb on, and that surely is a greater hero. I have to say, Jim, I admire you greatly, I always have. St. Paul's Swimming Club reckon you are basically a blooming hero, and I would agree with them, right? So tonight, St. Paul's Swimming Club, the swimming community in Limerick in general, and the sports people of Limerick, whom you know to be passionate about sport, applaud you and salute you. And I am very glad to have the opportunity to propose you as a very deserving winner of a Sports for All award. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you Jim Carroll.
We're now moving on to a completely different sport, one we're delighted to honour. Could I call on Brendan Collopy to come up, and Brendan's citation will be read by Tony Tyne.
Brendan, distinguished guests, we're going to save 30 seconds. I'll be just a minute and a half. You'll be delighted, Mary, to hear. For services to the sport of rugby, but in particular for particularly young Munster's Rugby Football Club, Brendan Collopy is being honoured with the 2007 Sports Service Award. Brendan has been a member of his beloved club for 49 years, and it's 50 years now as we're in 2008. He started his playing career in 1958 and has been involved as a dedicated player, member, supporter and official since then. Brendan has held many positions within the club at all levels on a voluntary basis, among them bagman, fixture secretary, and his current position of club secretary. He was also honoured to have been selected to serve his club as president, and of course, which is the highest award any club can give to a member. He brought all these experiences over the years to carry out his position with aplomb. Young Munster's Rugby Football Club were founded in 1895, and of course, as we all know, they play in Tom Clifford Park in Rossbrine. And now I'm going to tell you something you didn't know. They are the only Limerick club to have won the now defunct Bateman Club, and they told nobody. And of course, the club song, Beautiful Munsters, remembers this victory. The club also won the All-Ireland League in 1993 by beating St Mary's in Lansdowne Road in front of a record attendance for the club game of 20,000. The goats were missing that day, we believe, and the dogs were also missing, I'm told. Dodo wasn't allowed in. God be good to her. The club was one of the first Irish teams to tour North America extensively in 1985, having played 5 games in New York City, Vancouver, Langley, Los Angeles and San Diego. 25 years ago, when the late Jerry Burke came up with the concept of the unsung hero and the club volunteer award. Brendan, I can tell you, you have lived up to this criteria 100%. Brendan, you have given a lifetime of service to rugby and in particular your club, Young Munsters, and you are thoroughly deserving of the 2007 Sports Service Award. Thank you, Brendan.
Our next category that we're going to cover this evening, I'd like to call on our award winner, Eamon Heffernan. Eamon is receiving this award for a lifetime of service to soccer, and I'm delighted that the citation reader is Eddie McCarthy.
Absolutely. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, award winners, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Eamon Heffernan, who is receiving his award tonight for soccer and in particular his achievements with the Fairview Rangers Soccer Club. Eamon began his schoolboy soccer career with Fairview Rangers in the season of 1956-57. In the season 1961-62, he was vice captain of the minor team, and he was honoured with the Player of the Year that year. The following season, he captained the team to the area final of the FAI Minor Cup, who were defeated by Limerick C in a pulsating match 5-2. Who defeated Limerick C, I'm sorry about that, Eamon, 5-2 in a pulsating game in which Eamon scored a penalty. With 4 other local players, Eamon impressed an Arsenal scout at that time. In 1963-64, he played in his first club's Lawson Cup final, and incredibly, 14 years later, he scored the winning goal when Fairview lifted that coveted trophy for the first time. After contesting 3 FAI Junior Cup area finals in a row, the great Fairview team won the national and provincial double, the FAI and minor FA, in 1965. And Eamon played a pivotal role in that accomplishment. His sterling performances were noted by junior international selectors, and he was capped for Ireland against the Isle of Man in April of that season. After an abundant junior soccer career, Eamon signed for Cork Celtic in 1965. He played for Cork Celtic between 65 and 69, and in the FAI Cup final of 69 played a very important role in outplaying Mick Leach of Shamrock Rovers. Cork Celtic went down, unfortunately, in that game on a replay to Rovers. Later that year, Eamon returned to sign for Limerick, a senior soccer team. And in a friendly game in 1971 with Glasgow Celtic, Eamon suffered a leg injury, and this curtailed his senior soccer career. But that did not stop Eamon from playing. He then returned to his roots, to Fairview Rangers. And after an illustrious playing career, In 1985-86 season, he took over the reins as chairman of the club. And after a time serving on the committee and put the wheels in motion to purchase prime land which was at their doorstep. Through the sterling work and excellent committee, hard work, graft and fundraising, they purchased the land and it was paid for in full. Eamon is gifted in all qualities that make good leaders. He stepped down at this year's AGM after 20 years of total commitment. But tradition dies hard and the labour of love continues in Fairview on a daily and ongoing basis. And just on a personal note, I'd like to add that when I was growing up, Eamon was one of my heroes on the Limerick soccer team. And it really was my pleasure here tonight to present him to you as a very, very worthy award winner.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, our next award winner is a very special person. I was teaching this young guy to swim when he was only about 5. So I'm kind of disappointed that he's not getting an award for swimming. I thought under my wonderful tutoring he would. However, I'm very, very happy to present to you our award winner under the category of squash. We have Barry Hession. And Barry's award is the citation is going to be read by Jim Upton. Please put your hands together for Barry Hession.
Madam Chair, sponsors, honoured guests, recipients, friends in sport. Before I proceed with the citation, I wish, as Chairman of Parks Tennis Limerick, to express my gratitude to Mr. Ronnie Delaney for the assistance and the encouragement he gave us in Parks Tennis Limerick in our early formative years. Thank you very much, Ronnie, for all of that. Ronnie's other famous claim to fame is, I believe, he married a Limerick lady. For service to the racket sport of squash, but in particular at Limerick Lawn Tennis Club, Barry Hession is being honoured with a 2007 Sports Service Award. Barry not only scaled the heights of junior, interprovincial and international squash, but in particular over the past few years as squash captain, he has given back to squash tenfold what he himself got from the game during his playing career, which has not ended by any means as of yet. He has revitalised the sport of squash, which, up until 2005, had a dwindling number of members. But the current position sees the club with a full calendar of squash events. He has brought back great tournaments of the past, in particular the Guinness Handicap, the O'Malley, O'Farrell, and President's Cups, and a squash ladder with 80 members competing for better ladder positions. Lest I mislead, the Guinness Handicap refers to the structure of the competition, not the strength of the product. The club LLTC has produced several international tennis and squash players. The latest 1.5 million investment in the club facilities has brought this prestigious city sports stronghold up to 21st century sporting and leisure standards, with 12 floodlit tennis courts, 3 championship squash courts, a state-of-the-art gymnasium, sauna, together with bar, lounge and restaurant. For 2008, Barry has already secured the veteran interprovincial championships for his club and has engaged the services of a club coach and is personally overseeing the development of the next generation of squash players as young as 6 years old. Not only has Barry improved squash's status, but he is instrumental in ensuring competition and enjoyment of the racket sport of squash. For his altruism and dedication to the sport of squash, and particularly at Limerick Lawn Tennis Club, Barry Hession, a unique achiever, is truly deserving of the Sports Service Award for 2007.
Congratulations to Barry. And now we move on to a gentleman who is receiving his award for GAA na Piarsaigh. I'd like to welcome Frank Kavanagh up to receive his reward, and his citation will be read by Paul O'Connor.
It won't take me 2 minutes and a half. Honoured guests, award recipients, ladies and gentlemen. For service to the GAA, and in particular the Piarsaigh GAA Club, Frank Kavanagh has been honoured with a 2007 Sports Service Award. Frank is a native of Garryowen, that's about halfway between Claremorris and in South Mayo and Tuam in County Galway. Therefore, he was steeped in Gaelic football from the time he was a child. When, in 1947, he moved to Dublin to get work, he was immediately spotted by Western Gaels GAA Club, who always grabbed those who came from the West. And he played very well football in his club for many years. Now, 1951, all that era was the golden era for Mayo football. Unfortunately, in 1951, when the great Sean Flanagan, the late and great Sean Flanagan, was captain of the Mayo team, Frank was injured and he couldn't play. He had played with Sean Flanagan but didn't make that Mayo team, and they haven't won an All-Ireland since then, sadly. Okay. He won, however, a year later, a Senior Football League title in 1952 with Western Gaels, and then he moved to Wicklow in 1955, and from then until 1964 he played inter-county football for Wicklow, and he won a county intermediate championship in 1958. In his time in Leinster, he became great friends with all of the great players of the time, including Noel Drumgoole, who would have been actually on one of the first ever Cussport committees with Ronnie Delaney, and he's one of the few people in Ireland who has won a Golden Cussport Pin Award. I think Ronnie, Mary Costello and Noel Drumgoole were the only three people ever to win that Golden Award. And Noel came to Limerick in 1967. And in 1968, when the suburbs of Limerick were spreading out, they decided, Frank and Ernie's decided to build Cavanagh housing estates. And so the club, or the members of the GAA in that area decided, we'll form a new club out in the Cavanagh area, and they decided on the name Na Piarsaigh. They negotiated with McInerney's and got this piece of low-lying land, which was probably a little bit like quarry at the time, but it worked out grand, and that land now today is probably worth 100 million euros. So the committee did very well to decide to go ahead and form the club. Now, in the early years, Frank was instrumental in promoting football in Piarsaigh, and it culminated in the winning of the City Minor Football Championships in 1972, the County Minor Football Championship titles in 1981. He was also involved with the under-21 football teams who won the city titles in 1973, 75 and 76, and the 1973 team also were crowned county champions. Frank was a mentor within the Piarsaigh team who contested the county senior football championship final in 1982. Frank is a great family man, and he encouraged all his children to play GAA sport, including his daughter Susie, who's here tonight, and all the sons are also here tonight. As an administrator, he has held various positions, including chairman, secretary, PRO, and a committee member for almost 40 years in the Piarsaigh. The progress and development of the club over those past 40 years is testament to the hard work of Frank Kavanagh and many others with him. The fundraising which has taken place over those years to finance the various club projects always had Frank Kavanagh playing a pivotal and vital role. Although he's a senior citizen, he'll be 80 on September the 8th, Frank still retains the energy and drive in his commitment to the Piarsaigh GAA Club. For his contribution to the development and promotion of the Piarsaigh GAA Club, Frank Kavanagh is the most deserving winner of the Sports Service Award for 2007.
Well, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I think Frank could get an award just for looking so well at that age. Woo! Anywho, moving swiftly on, our next recipient is being honoured under 3 different headings: athletics, basketball and community games. I'm delighted to present you, ladies and gentlemen, Lavin, and to read his citation we have Paddy O'Connell.
Honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, excluding the chairman's stroke Jerry Burke awards down for the years, 237 people have deservedly been honoured with the Service to Sports Awards during the past 25 years. Now, I'm open to contradiction in this, but I think this is the first occasion we have had a nomination for an individual for work done in more than one sport. And here we have Jill Lavin for service to athletics, basketball, which I believe he was adept at, and community games. Now, you have before you the booklet, so I won't go through the great work. It's all there in the book, what he does for all three. But I will have a look at the man himself. For the years that I have been doing citations, I love to get something that I may be able to slag a recipient. This man sickens me. I could find nothing. Except for a little incident of allegedly running out of his age group, and I will have more about this later. I've heard nothing but good stories of all the good work he does, his commitment, his work behind the scenes. Would you believe one lady went as far as to say he was a lovely man and great fun to be with? And that wasn't his wife. And mention of his wife, Emily, she's a fantastic worker also. So much so that each year when we have the primary schools, we ensure that the dates for the 4 events are arranged so that Emily is available. Having 400 to 500 children and each day is not an easy task. But with Emily around, not much goes wrong. By the way, she's lovely too and great fun to be with. Getting back to his allegedly competing out of age, he is so fit from coaching, he decided to run in the Munster Masters indoors recently. And when I saw that he was successful over 65, I couldn't believe it. I mean, does he look over 30? Later I discovered there was a misprint. Wouldn't it be great though if he did go on and win over 65 in the distant future? Wouldn't it be great if I was around to say, well done, young fella? But anyway, before tonight I said 237 people have been honoured. Our great friend Ronnie has made the presentation to a large proportion of these. Jill Lavin is a deserving 243rd winner in 2007 for his contribution to athletics, basketball and community games.
Well done there to Jill Lavin. And now, can I say, not before time, we come to a lady recipient. Yes. Mind you, it took them 25 years to get a lady chairperson for this Sports Advisory Committee, so we were always at a disadvantage. Ladies and gentlemen, would you put your hands together and give a very warm welcome for, under the category tennis, we have Rita Mulholland and Jim Upton will read her citation. Thank you, Rita.
Madam Chair, friends in sport, for service to the sport of tennis, but in particular at Limerick Lawn Tennis Club, Rita Mulholland is being honoured with a 2007 Sports Service Award. Rita Mulholland has been involved at all levels of tennis during her sporting career at LLTC, but in particular has been instrumental in running ladies' daytime tennis sessions for over 25 years. She is currently the driving force in ladies' daytime tennis. Not only has she kept daytime tennis consistently active, she also plays an important part in securing the future of the club through promoting new membership, as participation in the game is the lifeline of any sport or club. Limerick Lawn Tennis Club was founded in 1877 and is the oldest club, second only to Wimbledon. The South of Ireland Men's Singles Championships is the second oldest title in Britain and Ireland. The South of Ireland was first with the Ladies' Singles Championships, predating Wimbledon, to put Limerick in a premier position on the tennis map as the oldest ladies' event ever in Britain and Ireland. LLTC is unique in that it still occupies the same ground since 1877 and has provided facilities for events in keeping with the international tradition of our sporting city by hosting a rugby international between Ireland and Wales in 1898 and later interprovincial hockey. Rita's focused efforts over time, but in particular in recent years, have managed to bring over 100 ladies together to actively compete, and she has taken groups to other Irish clubs and indeed to other countries for social events. Rita's efforts not only enhances the players' enjoyment of the game of tennis, it also demonstrates great service to her club and Limerick Lawn Tennis Club's 130 years dedication and such a fine reputation it has. For her dedication and focused efforts to the sport of tennis, and particularly at Limerick Lawn Tennis Club, Rita Mulholland, trustee, devoted club member, and a very fine lady, is truly deserving of the Sports Service Award for 2007.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, well done again to Rita Mulholland. Now we're going on to a very deserving recipient yet again. Could I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, honoured guests, to put your hands together for a gentleman who has worked long and hard for soccer in Limerick. I'm delighted to welcome Paul Neville up to receive his reward, and Sean O'Donoghue will read his citation.
Chairperson, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all in sport. For his contribution to soccer, both with Cavanagh Celtic and the Limerick District League Committee, Paul Neville is being honoured with a 2007 Sports Service Award. Paul played underage soccer with St Clement's up to 14 years and then moved to Hyde Rangers. He was a founder member of Lavin Celtic in 1979 and entered them in the local junior league. He played junior football with this club and was responsible in the amalgamation of Cavanagh Schoolboys and Lavin Celtic to form Cavanagh Celtic. He has served on the club committee for many years and is the current club treasurer. Under the guidance of Paul and others, Cavanagh Celtic became one of the most respected clubs in Limerick, fielding at any given time 20 schoolboy teams, 1 girls, 3 junior and 1 youth team. Paul played junior soccer for the club and was an outstanding goalkeeper, so taking after his late uncle, Sean Geezer O'Dwyer, who played senior soccer in the late 50s and 60s and was a hero to the schoolboys of that era. As well as being treasurer of the club, Paul is involved in the managing and coaching of teams within the club. Paul is one of those people other clubs envy for his energy and the amount of work he does. The man hours he contributes each is enormous, and he strives to make his club admired and respected by the community at large. Soccer is his life, and it has become a 7-day-a-week labour of love for Paul and his family. His son Gary has been playing since 8 years of age and is a very promising goalkeeper, so carrying on the tradition in the family. Paul's wife Bernadette and daughter Sharon are very supportive in the voluntary work that he does and encourages him at all times, which is very important. And just to reward Paul, Bernie is taking him for a week's holidays, just to get away from the washing of the gear and all, because Bernie washes the gear and all that. So they're going away to the Canaries tomorrow, so they're getting a break. As treasurer, Paul is responsible for fundraising within the club and is to the forefront in events such as race nights, backpacking, house-to-house collections, raffles, sponsorship, poker classics, golf classics and quiz nights. It is quite clear that without all these efforts the club would not survive financially. As manager of various teams, Paul has the responsibility of organising training, transport and notifying players each week, which takes a huge amount of time. However, he's not content to leave it there. He's also seen lining pitches, putting up goalposts and nets, and also looking after the gear. Paul joined the Limerick and District League over 20 years ago, serving as PRO for a number of years, before taking over as secretary, a post he has filled with distinction and has been behind the improvements in Jackman Park. And his ambition is to see it developed as a soccer stadium for Limerick. Paul was instrumental in the upgrading of the floodlights in Grattan Park and also in the maintaining of grants for same. Paul is the league's representative to the API Junior Council in Dublin, where he is very well respected and is a very good ambassador for the league, his family and the city of Limerick. Paul has led by example and has made a big influence in moulding young people in the healthy lifestyle of sport, and has left a lasting impression on them, which will stand to them in later life. Paul epitomises all that is good about the voluntary sector in sport. He is the driving force behind Cavanagh Celtic and the Limerick District League, and without the calibre of people like Paul Neville, they would not function. From this brief resume, you can see why Paul Neville is indeed a worthy recipient of a Sports Service Award for 2007.
Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the area of Camogie, and it is my pleasure to announce our award winner for this evening is Lizzie OD, and her citation will be read by DK O'Brien.
Just before I read the citation, I would just deviate a little bit, and I'd like to wish Leanne Moore the best of luck in the Eurostar final in the Helical Centre in Dublin on Sunday night. She happens to be a niece of Rita here. So vote for her, everyone here, lads. Support her as much as you can. Right, lads. For services to the sport of Camogie, but in particular the Adair Camogie Club, Lizzie O'D is being honoured with a 2007 Sports Service Award. Lizzie has been involved with Camogie in Adair Croke area for over 30 years. She is involved in all age groups from 8s to seniors and gives of her time freely to organise training and matches for the club. She also organises fundraising events such as church gate collections, Irish nights, coffee mornings, anything that makes money Lizzie is involved in. And even the care of the slitters, medical supplies, neat jerseys, skirts falling off of ladies and the whole lot. Lizzie is there to lend a helping hand. She keeps them in suspenders all the time and all that. Common Camogie Noel was launched in 1904, and the following year the first Uachtaráin was elected. The strategic plan of the Camogie Association emanated from an exhaustive review and analysis of the organisation and its potential to develop. It is designed to maximise on the skills and potential future of the game, with a membership dedicated to the development. In 2007, a director of Camogie, Mary O'Connor, was appointed to work with the regional development coordinators to increase participation in Camogie at all levels and to ensure the coaches, referees and administrators involved in the game are trained to the highest possible standards. Surely this is the role which Lizzie has been doing for the past 30 years. Lizzie also obtained sponsorship for the teams from local businesses in the Adair Croke area. From the start of April through to October, Lizzie can be seen on the sideline of all the Adair Camogie matches, cheering and encouraging her team. Indeed, it has been said that while the evenings are still bright, Lizzie has travelled more miles than Sean Kelly can be seen on his bike, cycling from Kilfinny to Adair, and her passion on the sideline during matches and training can be heard loud and clear. A recent description of Lizzie was that quite simply, Lizzie is Camogie in Adair Croke area. For her unstinting service for over 30 years to the sport of Camogie, particularly in the Adair Croke area, Lizzie O'D is a very worthy winner of the 2007 Sports Service Awards.
Well done, Lizzie. DK, thank you for that plug, which I did not ask him to make, but I'm delighted. And can I say that I didn't realise Camogie was so risque, with skirts dropping off, etc., etc. I think DK just added that bit himself. Anyway, we now move on to a very special award for a lifetime of sport. And this award, ladies and gentlemen, is going to Tony O'Shea, and the citation will be read by Mary Costello. Ladies and gentlemen, we do apologise, just when we said everything was going so well. Just before Mary reads this citation, could I just read a brief message from John Garrett? My mind went blank. I've known John for years. John sent his sincere apologies that he could not be here this evening, and he asked me to read this to Tony. I regret that I cannot be there with you to share this wonderful evening. Congratulations. Thank you for the memories you helped me create many years ago as a young player. Thank you for all you do for Garryowen FC. To this day, we still benefit from your knowledge of club matters and your wisdom. Enjoy the evening with your family, friends, members of Garryowen FC and Catholic Institute Athletic Club. That's with the warmest regards from John Garrett, President of Garryowen.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to read the citation for Tony because I have known him for many a long year. It would be impossible to describe Tony's involvement because he's been involved in so many sports in the short time that I have, and I'm afraid this is going to go as well, so I'll do it as quickly as I can. Tony attended his first committee meeting for Garryowen FC, and I'm told it's not Garryowen or FC, it's FC for some difference, in 1959. And over the intervening 48 years, he has distinguished himself in so many different roles: committee member, underage, organiser, team secretary, assistant secretary, treasurer and registrar. He was the pillar of the club and served as president in 2003. During the 1960s, Tony ran the social function every Saturday night in Garryowen Clubhouse, which was a major success and great income generator. I'm sure many romances blossomed there, and I, for one, remember attending many of these dances at that time. During the 60s and 70s, Tony played a pivotal role in establishing and running underage rugby, which was a key part in leading to one of the most successful eras in the club's history. As treasurer, apart from controlling the club's finances, he could regularly be found doing the gate in the rain, hail and snow. He was always one who shunned the limelight, for those who know him. Tony has given almost as much service, this time 45 years, to Catholic Institute Athletic Club, and made a remarkable contribution. He was treasurer there for 25 years, and at times when the bank manager had to be approached, Tony's expertise and reputation with the bank were always a major asset. Within the tennis section, he played a major role in various capacities, such as captain, treasurer and secretary. In addition to tennis, Tony played hockey for Munster and represented the club in tennis, hockey, squash, cricket and table tennis. As Rita mentioned, John Garrett sent his apologies here tonight. He couldn't make it, unfortunately, for personal reasons, but he said that Garryowen would be in good hands tonight, first of all with Tony, but equally with Billy Purcell, because Billy was the president of the club for the reason we're celebrating Garryowen tonight, for the 4 big wins. So I smiled because I was in holidays in Kilkee back in the 70s, and Tony and Billy were staying at the same hotel. And funnily enough, it was one of the few hotels that had squash courts. So for the week or 2 weeks we were there, I think we all played squash twice a day. So it's a holiday I remember quite well. My only concern when we were processing these nominations, and we had decided, obviously Tony was getting an award, and then equally we had decided that Garryowen was getting the chairman's, or the Jerry Burke Special Award. And I was concerned, just in case for some reason it might detract from Tony's personal award, but from speaking to a lot of people, they felt it would only enhance it, because he's getting it on a personal basis from 2 clubs, and also his club is being honoured as well. So I am particularly pleased to read the citation for Tony, his thoroughly deserving award of the Sports Service Award for 2007.
And on behalf of all of us here this evening, could I ask the club to please take our good wishes back to John and Anne Garrett. I know that Anne isn't too well, but we do send her our very best wishes. And now on to our second to last recipient for this evening. We're just praying that the microphone holds up. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an unusual award this evening. I'm not sure if we have a referees. No, it's the first time. We've had a few firsts for our 25 years, so we're very pleased with that. We're particularly pleased that the Referees Association, for the work that has been done by this gentleman for the Referees Association, is being honoured here this evening. Could I ask you to put your hands together for Noel Sexton, and his citation will be read by Paul O'Connor.